What is up, new UNE and Vultures? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we're returning to Afterwar Gundam X. Last time, Katak had a hatred for Newtypes, but Tifa changed his heart, mind, and soul. He ended up dying while protecting Tifa. Also, Orba and Shagia killed Aimzat after taking control of his ship. I didn't mention that last episode, but that totally happened. Bloodman also told the world of the new UNE and their plans for unification. This time, the war continues in Asia. The new UNE tries to destabilize the area to make Estardo bend the knee. Roy leaves the team and has some sex. And the Frost Bros plot against the Gundam. So let's get into this. After the new UNE's announcement, conflict breaks out throughout the world, specifically in Southeast Asia. Gorad wonders if firing the satellite cannon was wise. No, you definitely killed some people. The Freeden is attacked. They realize they are going through a minefield. Flying above them is President Willis Aramis of Estardo and his military advisors. He's president of the marching band nation, apparently. The parade's not today, get out of here. They spot the Freeden taking out their mines. One of his aides, named Lucas, tells him that this is the Freeden. Perhaps they could help with their new UNE problem. Estardo is a small independent nation of 10,000. They are working with adjacent nations to fight against the new UNE forces. They want the Freeden to help out in a joint operation. The president is green and many around him are trying to influence his decision. The doc is checking out Anil's boobs once again. I get it. Tanya asked Anil to join the crew, but she is hesitant. Tifa gets a Newtype braingasm. The sirens go off in the city. Jamil and those at the meeting have to take shelter. Alright, let's destabilize this bitch. After witnessing some carpet bombings, they decide to help Estardo. They plan a counteroffensive on a nearby base. General Band Leader is certain that this is possible with the help of the Freeden crew. Estardo is working with the neighboring nations, Gestar and Northern Bell. Grad goes to see Tifa. The subtitles say, "I wanted to see you," but he actually says, "I wanted to see your face." Show me your face, Tifa! Show me your face. Gorad launches in Double X. The nation of Estardo has two mobile suits, the Pyron and the Estardoth. The ENG-002 Pyron is used by the nation of Estardo, Gestar, and Northern Bell. This doesn't have any beam weapons and are inferior to the new UNE forces. Weapons include a machine cannon, a 70mm machine gun, and an optional tripod-mounted large machine gun. The ENG-001 Estardoth is considered old and weak in AW-15. This only has two chest-mounted machine cannons. Although weak, it is shown to take out a Dautris. Gorad moves in towards the base, while the Frost brothers sneak behind. Something doesn't seem right to Jamil. They notice that mobile suits are hiding in the trenches and flanking the Freeden. Before Gorad can attack the base, he runs into the Frost brothers. They take out all the Pyrons. Witz takes on the Gadil. The NRMA-006 Gadil is a high-mobility mobile armor created by the new UNE. This has low air resistance. It has head sensors attached as well. Only 30 of these units were made, and the new UNE decided to mass-produce the Valiant instead. Its only weapon is a beam rifle that doubles as a beam saber. Witz is struggling to keep up with the two fighters. He eventually gets a shot on one and punches the other one in the face. Did you specifically choose to give this fighter a head just so Witz could punch it in the face? I respect that. After shaking Shagia, Gorad finally activates the satellite cannon and takes out the new UNE base. This attack was carried out by Romanov's faction within the new UNE. The Frost Bros saw him failing earlier and bailed before things got bad. Meanwhile, Anil is healed, but she decides to leave the Freeden crew. The next few episodes are the Frost Bros hiring a villain of the week to take down Gorad. They meet with Damar Grief, known as the White Death. They show him the Coral. Coral? The NRX-007 Corel is a high-mobility close combat unit developed by the new UNE. This doesn't have any excess weight, and its only weapon is a beam knife. This is light enough to jump on buildings without crushing them. However, due to the light armor, this unit is relatively weak. The Freeden crew are being honored at Estardo. Meanwhile, Anil returns to Sane's Island. Some are pushing the president for another assault. Roy is out of here. He doesn't want to be involved in this war. One of the president's aides wants Roy to convince him of peace. We learn that the three nations are looking for an excuse to fight one another. Roy refuses. General Band Leader says to the team, "Hey, want some upgrades?" Witz takes him up on the offer. His Airmaster could barely keep up with those new units. The President and Gorad relate to one another for being seen as dumb kids by the adults in their life. Shagia wants to take control of Northern Bell and force them to sign a treaty. Estardo, Gestar, and Northern Bell once experienced some race wars in the past. Shagia says, "Let's pour some gas on those flames." Witz shows off his new Airmaster Burst. The GW-9800-B Gundam Airmaster Burst is the upgraded Airmaster which has improved mobility. The unit no longer retains the shoulder missiles and now opts for a missile rifle. It can also dock with part of the G-Falcon. This has the flash system and the trans system. Weapons include head Vulcans, a nose beam cannon, a booster beam cannon on each wing, and a buster rifle. Uh-oh, Tifa has another bad feeling. That means people are about to die. The new UNE begins their attack on Northern Bell. Gastar and Estardo mobilize troops to help. Wits and Garad help with their operation while the Freeden gets repairs. They try to drive the new UNE out of the city. Shagia lures Garad into a trap to face off with Damar in the Corel. The mobile suit is fast and it does hit and run attacks on DX. Garad can't get a hit on him. He uses the beam rifle to block an attack. This catches the Corel off guard. GX unleashes Vulcans and takes out Corel. Damn, that armor really was that flimsy. They learn that Northern Bell has fallen. They failed at helping them. Meanwhile, Roy says, I'm gonna hook up with this piano lady. The piano lady that Roy hooks up with is strapped. She mentions that this area used to be a part of Estardo, but has fallen into turmoil since it has been occupied by the new UNE. Seems that most people refer to the new UNE as Noon, but that just isn't intimidating. Oh no, we're getting attacked by Noon! Piano Lady seems to be working for the local resistance. Estardo and Gastar did a little ethnic cleansing back in the day. Having Northern Bell in between the two has improved relations. Now that Northern Bell has fallen to new UNE, conflict may arise once again. You don't have to conquer a territory, you just have to sow chaos within the area, make it unstable, and come in and claim said territory. This is a relatively standard military practice called subversion. Sarah worries about Roy. Anil is watching as Sane's island is now occupied by new UNE. She learns that Miles, that sucker that proposed to Anil, is now dead. She seems to be running away from fighting, which is why she probably left the Freeden. Unfortunately, tragedy draws her back into the war. Tifa does a little creeping and cleaning. On the outskirts of the Three Nations, a man kills his comrades in a Britova. The NRX-011 Britova is a long-range mobile suit converted from a rear support mobile suit and created by the new UNE. Its main weapon is the heat wire in the right forearm. Other weapons include 2 micro-missile launchers in the shoulders. This is piloted by Duet Langrath. The Frost Bros convince him to take down Garad. He seems to have 2 personalities, and we are seeing the nice one. The gang learns that Gastar has sided with the new UNE. They would rather side with the new UNE than let a slightly different race defeat them. General Bandleader wants to fight while the others believe that Estardo should surrender. Lux steps in and says that they must surrender, but General Bandleader goes rogue. Some would say he's not getting the band back together. Garad and Wits launch to stop the general. Duet's evil personality comes out. He launches and engages with DX and Airmaster. Eat propulsion tanks, suckers! The Frost Bros watch the battle. Garad catches Airmaster's arm after Duet slices it off. They notice it is using a wire cutter. Garad tells Wits to act as bait. The two work together to take down the Britova. It was a relatively mid-battle if we're being honest. Duet changes personalities before dying. General Bandleader says, come at me, bro. They do in fact come at him. He does take out a Daughters though. No, General Bandleader! So much for this year's Christmas parade. Lux wants to take the fall for all of this. Estardo is surrendering to the new UNE in 4 days, giving the Freeden crew an opportunity to flee. Roy realizes this girl is strapped. Kid confirms that food tastes like shit on the Freeden. The next day, the Freeden takes off. Roy never came back to the ship. The Frost Bros lost 2 guys and say 3rd time's a charm. This time they hire Ensign Milra Dread. He is known as the Killing Machine and will be piloting the Gable. The NRX-010 Gable is a massive prototype heavy mobile suit standing at 28.3 meters tall and 22.5 metric tons. This only has 2 beam deflection field generators on each shoulder, making it impenetrable with beam attacks. This is too heavy to carry any weapons and just relies on brute force. Fun fact, this is lighter than a ball. The ball makes no sense and I love it. The insurgents that Piano Lady are working for tell Roy to work with them or die. Suddenly, the new UNE surrounds them. They flee out the window, but Piano Lady is shot. Oh, that's her name. President Willis plans on fleeing the country. But when they meet up with the Freeden, they are met with the Gable. The team launches to fight the giant mobile suit. The Gastaran army approaches. They are after the president. Commander Romanov is in the Bandal. The Bandal is a mobile land fortress. This has 2 giant photon particle beam cannons along with auxiliary beam cannons and double beam cannons. This can store an unknown amount of mobile suits. Before dying, Urena says to go back to the Freeden. One of the resistance guys says, don't worry, I got you. And he blows himself up to allow Roy to escape. What a nice guy. Did anyone catch his name? Oh well. Jamil heads out in the divider. Roy says, hold on, I'm a-comin'. He gets into his Gundam. Beam weapons don't work on the Gable. It crushes Leopard's arms. Roy says, check out my shell weapons. he is able to make a small hole. This allows everyone to fire on the cracks of the gable, destroying the mobile suit. The pilot Drade says that he is happy to finally die. The Gastaran army moves in on them. They suggest they use the satellite cannon on the army, but the president decides to give himself up. Time to put my big boy band pants on. Lux tells President Willis that he made a deal with the new UNE and sacrificed himself. Even though President Willis is going to be a puppet of the new UNE's rule, he still has to be there for his people. Willis eventually signed the treaty with new UNE, ending the war in Southeast Asia. New UNE's power is slowly growing. And that will do it for this episode. The Frost Bros became Villain of the Week during these episodes. However, we saw growth in the President. He is now ready to become an adult and rule his people, even though it is too late and their nation is now under occupation. Whoops, but at least you learned a lesson, right? Next time, Wits upgrades Leopard Gundam. The Frost Bros' next attempt at destroying the Gundam is an unawakened Newtype. Antifa is kidnapped, and she heads into space. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, don't let race wars stop you from achieving your goal of independence. It's always the race wars that are the downfall of a nation. Peace.